Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. So I was hanging out with a friend of mine locally the other day, and he's a local real estate developer. And one of the things he's done is he's acquired all those buildings back there. It's an enormous amount of property. And let me tell you, this is like mediocre to lousy retail across the street. And those buildings have been there for like half a century. And it's kind of run down. So what he's done over a period of time, he's acquired all that property. And what he's going to do is, assuming all the zoning and planning and all that kind of stuff goes through, his goal is to build a really, really nice modern retail center there. It's going to have restaurants. It's going to have public spaces. There's going to be a food market back there. All sorts of really interesting stuff. So I was hanging out with him the other day, and he was telling me a little bit about his plans. And it was interesting. He said at one point, he said, "Well, I got to go." I said, "Oh, sure. How come?" He said, "Well, a young man, he's 12 years old, wrote me a note." This guy knows the family. He says, wrote me a note, and he said, "I have some thoughts about your new development." I'm not stupid. I said, "Can I go?" And he said, "Oh, absolutely." So what we did is I hung out with him for a little while, and I listened to this 12-year-old boy talk to him about the things that he wanted to see in that center. And it was really, really instructive. I mean, first of all, the kid was really smart. He said, "Fire pits. You got to have fire pits." I'm totally into that. I think it's a great idea. But he was also really smart in terms of how he talked about the retail space and how he wanted not just places for people to shop, but also people could be engaged. Things like maybe a ping pong parlor, stuff like that. Because he said that's what's going to attract young people to a town center like that. I thought this was really intelligent of the kid. And by the way, this kid had polled friends of his on the school bus to find out what they thought as well. Impressive kid. He's either going to be a real estate developer, an architect, or a lawyer someday, I suspect. But I also want to give a lot of credit to my friend, because he was smart enough to listen to this 12-year-old kid. He was smart enough to sit down with him. He treated him like an adult. He took everything he had to say very seriously. Copious notes, wrote down his ideas, took notes of the websites this kid suggested that he go visit as he compiles ideas for what should occupy that space. This is something we talk a lot about here on Morning Newsbeat, right? You don't want to just go to the usual suspects when you talk to people about the things you need to do to be relevant to your customers and to engage with your customers. This is a prime example of what smart retailers, smart businesses do if they want to connect to the customer in fundamental ways that are going to be enduring, not just momentary. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this Thursday morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.